Design Thinking, lecture number 8. The theme of the lecture is the creative process and creative principles. According to the plan of our lecture, we are going to discuss the following questions. The first, characteristics of the process of creative design thinking, and the second, macro and micro processes in creative design thinking. So let's start with the explanation of the term creativity. Creativity is a central component of design thinking. Coupled with messiness, ambiguity, and uncertainty, it is not an easy component to work with. One can choose from several different theoretical approaches to understand the human act of creativity. This theoretical pluralism includes 10 different important perspectives ranging from development and cognitive to problem finding and problem solving. The act of creativity needs to be self-discovered and self-disciplined, while a person's sensitivity to a problem is a critical factor in finding or solving it. Design thinking relies on two thinking styles, often seen as the pillar of creativity: divergent and convergent thinking. In fact, both kinds of thinking are required to be creative. During a design thinking process, both divergent and convergent thinking are enforced, and oscillation between the two supported. The divergent process requires a high degree of insight into the problem area and a willingness to shift perspectives, while the convergent process requires conscientiousness. Let's look at the table and compare the factors relevant for divergent and convergent thinking. So divergent thinking, the first feature or characteristic is being unconventional. So second, seeing the known in a new light, combining disparate information, producing multiple answers, shifting perspective, transforming the known, seeing new possibilities, taking risks, retrieving a broad range of existing knowledge, associating ideas from remote fields. For convergent thinking are characteristics the following features: recognizing the familiar, combining what belongs together, being logical, homing in on the single best answer, reapplying set techniques, preserving the already known, achieving accuracy and correctness, playing it safe, and sticking to a narrow range of relevant information. The 10 attributes of divergent thinking promote thinking outside of safe boundaries. This leads to a broader understanding of the problem area and insights that are crucial to produce unexpected combination of the known. Convergent thinking attributes, on the other hand, address the requirements to complete the creative process. Here, fine-tuning and narrowing the set of ideas is necessary and helps find a novel, viable solution to a problem. In addition to divergent and convergent thinking, creative requires other specific cognitive abilities. There are three critical components of creativity. The first, the main relevant skills. Second, creative relevant skills. And the third, task motivations. The main relevant skills include needed knowledge, talent and technique, expertise within the domain. Creative relevant skills depend on personal traits, among them self-discipline and self-control. The last component, task motivation, builds upon the motivation to contribute to the process of change. Combining the divergent and convergent thinking, design thinkers enhance the solution space through following unconventional paths, thinking divergently at different points in the innovative process. Existing fixing frame conditions are crushed. Through this radical procedure, new solutions are created, often opening a door to the future. It must be noted, however, that in this divergent phase, many project partners and customers hesitate after recognizing the enormous creativity of the solution and its distance from the original project brief. They temporarily doubt design thinking and almost stop believing that the project could be successful. When engaging in convergent thinking, a few feasible solutions emerge. Look at this diagram. This diagram describes the microprocess of design thinking. During a design thinking project, the microprocess is conducted several times. The first process step, define the problem, means that a so-called challenge, the problem brief, is worked out. The second step, need finding and synthesis, is aimed at revealing and customers' needs. We differ between obvious and hidden needs. Ideate teams are encouraged to find solution ideas through brainstorming. The aim of the step prototype is to build prototypes that can be tested in the next step with customers. In the next step test, prototypes are tested with the end customers. In many projects, prototypes are tested in marketplaces, railway stations, and airports with the end customers. The macroprocess of the design thinking consists of several steps. The microprocess is divided into 7 process steps coupled to the different kinds of prototypes. The first step of the macroprocess, design space exploration, explores the so-called design space based on the challenge. In this step, literature and web research, as well as talks with experts, are recommended. Design thinkers must first gather their own experiences of the relevant industry sector specified by the challenge. The second step, critical faction prototype. The first prototypes are developed. First solution prototypes are built based on the critical functions revealed in the previous step. The next phase, a so-called dark horse prototype, is developed. The name of this prototype comes from the horse racing. The dark horse is the horse that nobody bets on, yet it wins. For the dark horse, the innovation process is started from the beginning, even though critical function prototypes already exist. Before starting with this step, boundary conditions found during design space exploration already the basis for critical function prototypes are deliberately disregarded. The solution space has existed and room emergence for new, even more innovative solutions. The dark horse prototypes often scare novice because of their sheer creativity and almost completely disregarded boundary conditions. With the step funky prototype, the divergent phase is closed. This step aims to merge the best ideas from all prototypes developed thus far into one prototype, building towards the final prototype. The next step, functional prototype, marks another important step to a detailed solution concept. Requirements and boundaries of the final solutions are fixed. It is crucial to decide based on pure prior prototypes and insights which solution ideas and which prototypes should be part of the final prototype. The functional prototype needs to be much more specific than prior prototypes, providing clear insights into customer acceptance and which needs to be satisfied. The requirements of the functional prototype are strict. The most realistic these prototypes are, the better the insight of the customer tests. The next step is finished prototype, which serves to detect one key functionality and what effort is required to realize the final prototype. This step helps the design thinking team discard unrealistic components identified in prior steps. In this step, the team decides which parts can be included in the final prototype. The final prototype comprises all functions necessary to satisfy realizable customer needs. Thank you very much for your attention.